Hey guys, I am back. I took a little bit of a hiatus because, well, life basically. My life gets, I have lulls and then it gets real busy and then I have lulls again and it gets real busy again. Life of an advocate, I guess. So, what I've been doing recently, really the past few years, been working on this legislation called the Disability Integration Act, helping get it passed, going to office visits, talking to legislators, trying to get it passed through Congress. So then we have a better chance of getting it onto the desk of the president for his perusal, if you will. So, sorry, I just had sodium and it always makes me itchy. So we're up to the stage where in January the bill was reintroduced. It was, why is it so dark in here? The bill was reintroduced and we started out with a bang. We had about, 30 or 40 co-sponsors off the bat. We were doing great. As of right now, today, having just checked congress.org, we are up to 230 co-sponsors, which is well above the needed amount to get this moving. So we've gone well above and beyond what we are required. And it's currently in the Energy and Commerce Committee. So we've been really working hard on getting co-sponsors from that committee. We have co-sponsors from the judiciary, and now we have a majority in the committees. Thing is, the chairperson for the Energy and Commerce Committee is Frank Pallone out of New Jersey. And Frank Pallone refuses to support the legislation. He refuses to support our freedom for disabled people. Let that sink in. Now, we've been to his office several times. Matter of fact, I was just in D.C. Where we went to his office again, talked to his staff again, went to the Energy and Commerce office and talked to that staff again. Except this time, we were met with a ridiculous amount of disrespect. Now, I don't pop off very easily. My emotions are pretty even keel. But the second you disrespect my family, and I do consider this group to be my family, the second you disrespect my family is where all bets are off, really. So what happened was we went in and we protested against this office, the Energy and Commerce office. And we said, you need to support our rights. You represent us, the people. So you need to support our right to live in the community in freedom. Anybody who has access to long-term services and supports should have the right to choose what setting they get them in. If you get services and supports in the nursing facility or in the institution, you should then have the right to get those same services and supports in the community. It's not a very hard concept. And what devastates me is they didn't want to focus on the issue, and they wanted to focus on power. Power is the word of the day. And they used their power. They used it in an abusive manner. One staffer named Jeff said that he held the key to our freedom. If he decided that he didn't want this legislation to go on, it would die with him. He threatened our freedom because he wanted to go on a power trip. Now, I don't know about you, but I was horrified. I am a registered Democrat. I believe, however, I believe in the issues. I believe in the people living in society know better on what they need. And I believe in checks and balances. And what was displayed to me through all of that was that, frankly, there are some people that shouldn't be in office because they care more about the power and prestige than the issues and the people they represent. And that left me feeling some kind of a way. I was horrified because, so Frank Pallone, chairman of Energy and Commerce, Frank Pallone calls himself a Democrat. He calls himself a Democrat. These are not the people that I want representing me in my party. He has, over and over, refused us the opportunity to sit down and have a conversation. He lets his staff become his voice box, which, frankly, I don't want a coward to be my representative. And he runs away at any given moment. Quite literally this week, when after having such a horrendous and disrespectful meeting with his staff, we went to his home. And we wanted to talk to the man himself. He hid in his house for what felt like several hours until finally he called the police. The police came and escorted him out, and he was forced to do the walk of shame past all of us. And it seemed to me that it really truly opened the eyes of his neighbors of what kind of a person he is, because while we were there for those several hours, we speechified and told our stories. I assisted my friend who her disability makes her difficult to understand. I assisted her in echoing her story. And I do have permission to bring this up. She was in a facility for a number of years because she was taken away from her parents because it was understood that her parents could no longer care for her the way she needed. She has cerebral palsy, she's speech-related disability, all of these things. So she went to a facility. In the facility, she caught the attention of one of the staff, a man. And that man would come into the facility, or come into her room in this facility, and would rape her at night while she slept. She was so afraid to say anything because she knew that he wasn't going to get fired. And if she said anything, he was going to keep coming back. And abuse would get worse and worse. And these are the things that people have to deal with in the facility. They're powerless. All of the powers on the staff, and the staff there are severely underemployed. There aren't enough people to go around. Say, for instance, you have a facility that has about 200 people in it. You probably only have about 30 or so people that actually work there. And so what that equals out to is oftentimes any given resident is only going to get maybe, this is being a little liberal, about 2 hours of care a day, if that. Not only that, but most people who are stuck in nursing facilities and institutions, and I will never say homes because they are not homes. Most people that are stuck in institutions and facilities have a bathing schedule, and oftentimes what that means is 1 day a week where they get to go and take a shower and clean their bodies. 1 day. And that's if they're lucky. Imagine, if you will, you've got someone who's deemed as difficult or hard to deal with, or maybe they're physically difficult to give a shower to. Those people will either get their one day a week, or they won't because they're too difficult to deal with. Staffing at nursing facilities is minimal at best. So then the staff could come in and say, well, we don't have enough people to give Mrs. Smith a bath today. So they'll push it to another day. But then they can come back and say, well, we still don't have enough staff to give Mrs. Smith a bath. And what happens is, because of the dirty, filthy situations that they're in, people get ill. People get open sores because there isn't enough staff to come in and make sure that they're being turned every few hours. So now you've got open wounds and you're not being bathed, and you are probably not seeing a person very often. So then you're probably in a situation where you're sitting in your own filth all day. What do you think happens when filth gets into an open wound? I can tell you that infection is soon after that. And I can tell you that there have been many cases, including very recently, that people have been found with maggots in their wounds. People have died from pressure sores. People have gotten very ill and gotten sepsis because of the conditions that they live in, if you could call it that. And all of this because families don't have the support that they need to ensure care for their family members in the community. So they feel that their only option is to put them in a facility, and then they die soon after they get there because of the atrocious conditions of nursing facilities. And Frank Pallone wants to hide from our group when we call him to task to stop this abuse and stop the torture of disabled people trapped in institutions. He wants to hide from our group. Does that seem to you like someone who should be representing anyone? Now, mind you, I often spin a tale. I often find myself exaggerating just a little bit, but in this situation, I can tell you that everything I've said is 100% true and things that you can Google. What's devastating to me is so Frank Pallone represents New Jersey, and in the news in the last couple of months, we've noticed a woman named Anna Landry who's going through some issues in New Jersey, and so Anna Landry is a young woman who got accepted to Georgetown, which should be really exciting, right? It's freaking Georgetown. So she gets accepted to Georgetown, and what is going on today? So she gets accepted to Georgetown, and much like any other college student, she should be thrilled. This should be the best time of her life right now. She should be able to be real excited. But here's the thing. Anna Landry is disabled. Anna Landry is in a power chair, and she has certain activities that she needs assistance with to, be prepared for the day, live her life in the community. So, because she needs these things, she has been unable to receive the services and supports that she needs. And she found herself in a situation where Georgetown went, I'm sorry, there's nothing we can do for you. And she was forced to leave Georgetown. She advocated harder than anyone I've seen. She reached out to politicians. She reached out to her local representatives. She reached out to the school, to the dean, to her independent living center, to the media. She reached out to everyone she could think of because she desperately wanted to go to Georgetown. As is her right, she was accepted into the school. Now, I'm very happy to announce that she is going back to school, but she shouldn't have had to go through everything she went through, all the stress, all the upset of being told that she couldn't go to her dream school because she didn't have the proper services and supports in place. That shouldn't happen because no other non-disabled college student would be told something like that. This was solely because of her disability, and this was wrong. You shouldn't have to get your legislators involved in matters like this. This just shouldn't happen. So while I'm telling all of these, yelling really at Frank Pallone, all of these stories that's happened about the abuse that happens in facilities, about people who live very successfully in the community, have given support, all of these things. And the entire time he hid in his home. The entire time. So how we ended this is he, like I mentioned, he called the police, was escorted out, walk of shame, all of that. And I'm left feeling very disillusioned by the party. These are not the ideals that any party should have. This is not the kind of candidate or legislator that a party should support. Cowardice is not something that's admirable in a person or in a representative in power. Frankly, if I were living in New Jersey, I would be devastated right now and furious. And so what I'm going to ask you to do is, if you live in New Jersey, reach out to Frank Pallone's office And this could be his office in DC. This could be any of his offices in New Jersey. If you live in DC, I'm calling on you too. But reach out to his office and ask him why he's being such a coward and why he won't give a hearing to adapt for the Disability Integration Act. That's all we're asking for. We want a hearing. We want a hearing on HR 555. So call his offices. It's Sunday today, so if you call today, you'll probably get voicemail. Clog up his voicemails. And then, while you're at it, call him tomorrow. Call him during 9 to 5 or 6 in some offices. Call him between 9 and 5 or 6. Ask him why he won't give a hearing to adapt for the Disability Integration Act. That's all. That's all you have to do. It's very quick. It takes 2 minutes. And it lets them know that people are out there that care about this issue. They care about the fact that there are disabled people trapped in institutions who want to get out, but they can't. So do this thing for me. If you were able to make this call or email, or heck, you could even put it on social media if you're unable to call. After you've done all of that, leave me a comment letting me know that you've done so. And we're going to fight on this together. We're going to continue working on this issue together. This is important. We need to stop the abuse of disabled people who are being forced to live in institutions and nursing facilities. Thank you, and free our people.